endegere y'umuguzi.
Nere represented Getembe Television, Getembe FM nere represented na boigo Kisi Television nere represented Sensemo Yende Egesa FM nere represented Radio Vuna nere represented na bande kero bako endretuguika Sensemeye libagari abene liaru tuguchia sigeta senikia Minto FM ekiyogeta guikira naga iga sengencho yokubeka matangazo y'umupira yogendete konekigwa matangazo y'ekigosori kya Chan korende nigoto bwate Blazings cyabo assesset nigonde n'abaralia ba Minto mu waziri no ara senseme korende ntagete kororori bago kya sabaralia ba Minto narabarabugo baruri baga ncheni gonkuru kwa Job Ngaga korwa segeta seni gieta television sabo yana yo koriyo ga igange na inche akwa nere ningo na inde na kyago kwa na introduction yayo
yakegema muri kominto Job Ngaga kureta TV nchenkoro kwa brand sajili sena ya mwase mkura segeta seni ya KCTV nubego chinga chabana kegema tuanyolori bagari ya kegema wisaransa no waziri teneta mani semega sense ya Kenya mheshimiwa wakili Migos Ogamba unajua sama tukaberbo na beriga gukoreta rara nikimanga ya sarongora gusi abigo kurigereria emiroberi tatu kurasa serikali nene na gatim roberi yo na monokorira bagana yubu agati wegeti kirige chinde gose strip ya sunika se konkurira bagana yubu agati wegeti kirige chinde gose strip ya sunika se constituency ya Bonchare County ya Kisi oigo akagenda ayemo aseyemo kuchikurigereria mangana alingete university yo chiko agati chinsemo chia wajurugena very special way tukubaliane marago ya renta seni nasipino mzojo bati kirwate batu sangene nasoboime maswali ni spina moya tumewetra si platform chito chons tuwetra eta TV astinse majiricha online wetra Kisi TV amandegere musia sense media online platform chonsi abago wetra Getembe TV asti platform chons nabago magaito toroche timingi makigime krawa no yominto mose Joseph Mose na roteneta mangana production ya igaba kubwatra na kakasungura Hot TV na wabali gaigana bago brand na bagono minto ali kila mmoja ako ndani. Asante sana ya masemo wikaso moli kominto yuminto Inok Mukate.
Asegeka serikali wasense ya Kenya nigo yabaire nse y'omurubiri O844 makoeta nigo mwako yo wase y'omurubiri yo obutoka natwasora rasmi aso murubiri OCBC gose computer based curriculum boygo aso mwako gocha kwa sababu nanda sumuru yonde okoro kwa CBE ejeniki kigako gara korekana na kiara korekana ne abayibuli kuna mole kagabu naki perengere ne serikali to ya gani singa CBC bune ndata koba abonaiga ine nje bangete biya osekerengere kiao na yokuru ko tera sichina mochito chichi SMS cha CCTV chito na bego asechire dichito amurubiri yo buchirwe kara CBE re karabana bacho swase karasi komi naki bala chigoso karanso ike kumanya gutantan mono sute kara waziri no alega ko yera ni ya onsi una trara to kumubuli atukwa manywa batoko toka aseci digital app chito chonsi na bayo kuro aseci television chito na bayo aseci TV kuro kwa mkata Enoch kuro aseci television ya Getembe na bayo Getembe FM karibu akartugo chaka Job
Biamono oyo mkata Enoch boigo Brian saginera na tikiro kwana bono nigo tore set tore ready ase ogochia gukwanira na bene no mu waziri oterete chisemi me Kenya waziri Julius Migos gakinera abantu bagatebirenga Migosi esegie kabasana bagatari gwenda ko Migos kolena nayo gwenda gutonekeria Migos use Migosi tigo tugore ni mbiamono waziri asogo twara chingaki guikaransa sege kareke lindo kwanero mu gusibwa nsi asabeta abantu abonsi abagusina bakurigereria chi television chonsi na bagotegerera chi radio station cheke gusikira sorongoro nasenge cyo waziri ndaisego kwari bagari tangani kegima elindo kwani yo murigereria nabo igwa bategereria asibale wire chinga kicyabene ko bakwani for the first time because we are doing this for the first time igesagwa cyo tukomo waziri libaganeli waziri.
Asante sana Job, asante sana Brian, asante sana Enoch. Ninde no moko sana kwa bana inuga igarero na ende ngireli bageri ukwani abantu ba Minto Bones bagusi na kubatebi nga narorire buya gochaga iga ase station chitu chia Gusii ukwana no Gusii erio nyare koereria abantu baitu bonsi nyare correspond uchasa maswali mubwate wetera sensemo education challenges chirimo roche chirororo mberese bune serikali nkegenderete gokora ku make sure ng'abana baitu mbagenderete gosoma esukuru Kenya ngima na Gusii yaitu igo ninde ready gokora egasi eye ninde ready kugamba nainu rero ninde ready gochibwa maswali nonsi erinde erio munyare kumanya ingi togenderete gokora kaitwarure kaitugochia erinde tutarire amo so ninde mogo sana kobaga iga rero abanche abategereri tukwana nainwe naina abakwaniri amaiga amange mbia mono
Nimono waziri unamoigure no waziri Julius Migos Ogamba wakili uyo obeira ase ekeruge kase ngakinkagereto mwako karekoera waziri ninto chukwanira mangana mange buna ba minto babiri bagukwana ntokwanira mangana university funding model ntokwanira mangana capitation na UR3 mangana abire kagukwanwa nga chibesa mara cha keigwe serikali atanga ya chibesa na wachiri buna chibwenete koba ntokwanira mangana buna mkatate ba CBC guchigo chenche gocha CBE wana siasa na barona baraba makase ngenchorende boniga tutegeta abantu baramanya mangana y'ekisemi nabo ge wizara y'ekisemi unegenderete ko enekia ase entunde ntanga ni waziri kwa bera abisi asige kakyo mwako yomo ninki wakoro mu gusiara isako tabanga waziri gesaba ebintu byagukwana mayano bikorre. You can tell us some of the things wakore for the period kwa bera ase wizara y'ekisemi.
Thank you Job. Muna mumanyete ona chole tugo so ase kero ko mutinyu 8 2024. Ekara na chole tugo so obisi ona nyorete changamoto chungu nzima ase sekte ya education. Egente getangani kyang welcome ti negento ye strike. Strike nchi alengo acha takere ko bachanat. Strike cha kupet. Strike cha wasu. Strike cha kusu na kudhea koru primary secondary pake university paka abana be university mbategete kwenda strike so igente getangani na korete no kugamba ne union kugamba n'abarimu kugamba ne lecturer koberesa nga ikiagera elie yarenge third term keresa abantu banatinga twesiko gende strike kuchu affect tura abana bali guchokora matemu ya form 4 abana bali gucha ku move ku grade 8 kucha grade 9 abana bali bande bakora matemu abo kuru class kama kwende kende tukanegotiate na borobwo paka tukaiwana obokongu babwate tukanyora a solution tukaprepare tuikorunga return to work formula baganjira na kwira negasi ekera bune serikali ntwara nyorete solution ye problem ya babwate problem kwanza babwate nene nelinga CBA yabo konyora ya taniri amagana arengo tanya gutimizwa tuganjira na magana yatimizwe na nekibesi cyarengo orocha takere bagakanwe chindenke echinde tugachi spread koru 2024 uche myaka yendere mutwe ko make sure ngebese ineroro na ni magendere wakanwa problem ende babwate nelinga chi CBA chiabo collective bargaining agreements echiare ko negotiated at the end of their cycle yani kara myaka eri yarire nali bagocha ko negotiate gochimagega tali gochimutwe unono nanyorete CBA yabo ya 2017 to 2021 konyora njanya ko completed ya 2021 to 2025 it had also not been completed so tukanjira nangango solve tole tukajisolve na tukaiwana nga gochimutwe CBAs echiko negotiated at the beginning of their cycle nkarwe directive nga CBA collective bargaining agreements cha balimu collective bargaining agreements each lecturer chibe negotiated at the beginning of their cycle na kimwa arorera mutinyoria a bargaining agreement CBA ya NAT ya KUPPET ya 2025 2029 mba negotiate in 2025 wakasign so that is something that we have achieved Now ntumanyite nga chibesire nga chitakire mwaka oyo ire nga chitakire next year paka 2029 iye ko make it easy for serikali kubanga na budget towards the future, not backwards. Kiagera karamo ko negotiate backwards, eko very difficult to get the money to pay. So ini achievement ya mo job tu akolire tu anyorire ase ko ensure na balimu baito bari minire classroom ili abana baito banyora amasomo bunatakire. Kara tu agenda ase sector ya university, it had also the same problems. Bargaining agreement chabo chitanya kwa side, pension funds chabo chitaiyo, chinde chiasirite on the way, problem cha promotions chabo chitaro korburonge, problems wabwati chinde cha retirement age chitanya kwa dealt with, tukai karansa na borobu, kiara na banda basomo, tukamba na borobu tukaiwana, tukaanza kusolve problem chabo chonsi, tukarosi return to work formula, lakini mwarochirite university na moi konyora ya kule kabisa konyora nyororo bokongu putanya kororekana abana babire university elia barenge gosoma emiaka 9 instead of we course kwere miaka 6 yaire miaka 9 yare kwere miaka 3 yaire miaka 7 abana babire depressed abana konyora banziro commit suicide. So ikato bidding ato negotiate ni shwenga chi university cheito abalimu batigera asekrasi. So to can negotiate now nechi team wechi to kaiwana nganonya going forward. Eto ku agree eto go chemesa twagamba a problem era tokero une serikali to solve. So we solved those issues. We came up with a long-term program yogo deal na mangana pension chabo. We came up with the issues cha retirement age to kaya set abantu bande bakorita at 65, around 70, around 79 depending on the level of level of your professional career that you are in. Kuna one senior lecturer, professor in some universities, they are now retiring at 79. So we resourced and we sorted out the problem we use yarengoro eliyo lecturer chitigare a classroom. Kabo igo ekagera a university again muna moi bakanyara ko graduate abana bari konyora bakwamire a university. The first batch ikaba graduated in November 2024. The second batch, wali barenga medicine konyara bakwanmira abandi barenga almost 10 years baka graduate motinyo gatatu omwaka oyo. Eyagerete bono ko make it possible abana wa apply ko ende university ya Moi abansi to admitted abana bansi ko admitted motinyo oyo tare 20 on Wednesday this week. Babera admitted bagenderete ko endera okora amasomo. So ikinegendo kende to achieve it. In primary, in secondary schools, mwenyorite karatu asoete gasi, problem ya lengoro ya domiciling of junior school in primary schools. A challenge ya lengoro timwende ya rote bangananga junior school baba domiciled as a senior school as a secondary. Lakini ekara serikali ya chite into power. Our president, His Excellency the President Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Now he set up a task force, a presidential task force, which went throughout the country. Bakanyora submissions kurukira abantu bagateba, including parents, ingabate junior school ever domiciled in primary schools. Now a challenge kamenya kobanga in these primary schools facilities in chiyo chisaine abana aba kuchakoberoro. So karanso etenyo the grade 8 in 2024 mbata gere kumuvu grade 9 in 2025 January. Elinso etobisi August. A challenge yeganza in September. To confirm because the Presidential Working Party aba Kenya batebetena abana abakiara nabake babe domiciled in primary schools. So we got to bidding a wikabono torosi classrooms chisaine aba bana aba grade 8 gocha kumove gochi grade 9 in the primary schools. Tukachane program after assessment koretwe tukanyoranga we require at least 16,000 classrooms. Eli grade 9 inyar kumove gochi grade 8 inyar kumove gochi grade 9 in the primary schools. So tukanyora chivesa kur World Bank tukachane structure a strategy okwaga check these classrooms in the shortest possible time. Ne structure tu achiti na erone linga tukakora assessment tukajora kile classroom will cost 1 million. So tukateba if a school requires 2 classrooms, tukatumira 2 million bagacha classrooms. We decentralized the procurement and the construction of those classrooms. So ikamenya kwa possible krato anstukwaga those classrooms in October 2024. We managed to do the classrooms by March 2025. We had already done 18,000 classrooms. The 16,000 which the ministry was doing, and there is another 7,000 that Chiaro Koru in conjunction with CDF. So that we combined together by May this year, we had done 23,000 classrooms to cover the classroom requirements for grade 9. So ini achievement ya mtu managed because by January kara toko admit abana bakuru grade 8 bache grade 9, we had already done over 14,000 classrooms. So it was possible to admit abana. By March we had done 18,000. By May we are already at 23,000, and we've continued to ensure ngachi facilities. That is what enabled a transition ilikuru grade 8 go to grade 9 ikaba seamless abana baitu wasoa a classroom. That's another achievement we did. In that same October, in order for the transition to take place, we were required to do 9.9 million books, textbooks, because sheria watawanga kero mwana in the core subjects yao kara atokinabwate a textbook agosomera. So we also managed to publish and distribute the 9.9 million books by December 15th of 2024, so that ekera abana bago cha January bagatoke ebitau biribya mbikole that mbiror. Another achievement, Job and Brian and my brother Mkate, is the exams. I came in and we were supposed to do the KCSE exams 2024. Kuna mumanyete amatuka mange usiinko nyakora guyarenge bicharanga amangana yamatemu tali okorugoronge. In fact, if you recall, abantu bariko and station une inoga montoteba ku Nairobi ngonya gutageto mwana agende university notamwira skuru neos mwire gusi kera bariko ra gusinga gusinko ibara matemu unancho rega ngacha gusi mutinyu komi around October nkamit chi principal chitu cha gusi ngabatebye iliegere tokonye ilietaliito tigatubwaterane abana baitu bakora matemu makosa ndita beso koraki tabasogotoka abalimu bakanyuwera naende bagancha tukabwaterana abalimu chi principal, the teachers themselves, abantu ba interior ngao the team tukabwaterana elie kagara matemu ali twakorete 2024 in Kisi malpractice ende nyakoraki njatoka ikagara matemu kara twayasoka in January amatemu atoka aliara maya paka muntu ndite yo complaint thinga gusi this time ni nja ipeta matemu usama matemu agusi na wate di malpractice. Across the country we managed to ensure that we have released results chiri abana wale entitled to. That is why tarakora Brian, that is why chiskuru nchile chitanya gutuma mwana uchi university in 2024 for the first time. There are schools chitometa abana uchi university because ya matemu akoletu genuinely. So that's another achievement, and there are many more. I can go through so many others. But thank you.
Torocho mo so murase ikyomberia kupet na sogete sana ka kauma na gari sana kalera sana katanga no engagement ko kaba chabo serikali mwaba tukutire sana matana mas ya aba moraga ligeri boya bakatana itu idisa ko baba ndu na moraba tumedi waziri karwa tabanga ile biga mwa so bilion city does it mean mo so dinero otara get your point ngam biro mo because was there is a miscommunication from your side na bako ko chasa.
And thank you for that. I remember I saw that the lady came and spoke. Amangana ya medical cover ya balimu igare akoba handled na TSC. So there is a cover that TSC enters into the private insurer provider to provide medical services for the teachers. And the teachers are not at the same level, each one of them. So the structure is different. They are graduated. So I do not have the data or the facts that she was talking about. And remember also, we have SHA that has come in and other medical services that the government provides even under the Ministry of Manpower. So I don't know exactly what it is that she was complaining about. But I'm saying in our negotiations, in our negotiations with that, the issues raised at that point, we dealt with them and we said how they are supposed to be. For example, if it is medical cover, whatever, then we would say medical cover ever provided na TSC in the same way that they have been doing. So you know, for MD SMA yaito kunya tuwakoro tuwagambire tuwa code. Bali watu implement. Maybe she was talking about the implementation. So implementation might be having some challenges, but once you determine a challenge here or implementation, so that is exactly what I was saying, Brian.
Was it one of the challenges there is no specific medical cover for them? She was questioning why we have medical cover when you why we not having medical cover.
And that's what now where Brian key into a keratoco negotiating a movers and strike because of medical cover, whatever medical cover will be provided. Provided, that is implementation, is an operational issue. Whether they are going to do it one, whether they are going to do it another one under SHA, whether they are going to do it as a joint venture, in a manner and implementation. So, and I can't answer specifically because I don't have the issue. The specific issue at the core is but teachers are entitled to medical cover. That is the global position. How it is done or how the TSC is implementing it, what is the challenge? Only challenge which are the next issue, another negotiation, then you deal with it on your operational. But it is there. Medical cover is available for the teacher. They are supposed to have.
Thank you. Waziri, by this bado tukiwa tukiata basa marala kemigro ya boro na baga bakuri gas which school nation university. Boro chebo igo omo secretary general go marala gete waso ose university academic staff union Constantine Wensonga. Na so tuwa ngana kaku anere kwa ya kurasa na tabanga there is no way mote tenga chi professor chi school chi ko butu wose chi ganda ka wose something of that kind. Tumayeti waziri on this secretary.
Yeah, thank you for that. Also, again, the Q Professor Wesonga whatever is part of the solution to provide the say amangana yo ko ensure sustainability at university. Let me roll back, and I'll take again Moi as an example. A problem, for example, Moye Buate, they overemployed. Yani bakalika abantu baetaniti abana bali babona to support. Okay. Karabali kawa ante karatuakora analysis tukanyoramba bwate overemployment y'abantu baetaneti 1,300. Moi's payroll is at 450 million per month. Bali konyara raise USH because they have overemployed. So one of the sustainability strategies is to slowly and progressively retrench those workers. With payment, of course, under the retrenched, like that. So what he was talking about is that you can move us but by law, retrenchment is not allowed because it's called retrenchment. It's actually rationalization.
Yeah.
So that you are, for example, iga this land. Oranyora utakere kwa kulika abantu bako kuna chobu nyansi maybe abantu babiri. obako nya abantu buri kire bako nacho bunyansi obo obali abantu 15 so iminute abantu 13 gastiyo bako karaki mbali kire lakini gastiyo bako wano monde imbatiko bagender so you know ekara wocha kwanya ole problem you first solve the problem. The problem elio you deal with it ditangani oiso guteba ngani no tete kumanya nga abantu bali getu ose 2000 kara bali getu wono ngisikwira nga I'm spending 7 hours per day kumanya nga ingo bali gete instead of solving a problem tingo nyara solve that problem abantu bali getu and you know the history of these universities you could tell and bago chigeita bate kuliko university ense itoga igero ikawegasi and all that you know those things but now that problem is what we are holding is like the national debt that we have debt abantu ba bore tichibese previously lakini one kara wacho office kwanyorire lideni nikorete diro ono kuikwa kanali lideni eli uzo ikarasanga n'abantu bali tete kumenya kiba bore to sinki chakorete to move, a country will collapse. So that is what we are doing. What we are doing in the ministry, again to talk about the ministry, we are solving problem buna chokara na chigocha. Buna kanyole problem kuikaransa ni timu yani tu aboli na kitoko solve problem we egera togendere which mutu. Mangana yago chumagega acha ko na bantu bandi go si institution chinde chikore chiro.
Waziri gwatebire nga akaro mwagachire birasi ebi mwabibekire mwabaira abana abaige bitabo CBC computer based competence based competence tali gosoma gwoka oyo le likanika abalikanika oyo le pilot and abekutia bone bitabo byoka mwabaire competence gayera.
Yes, thank you for that question. I think competence based education means we combine both amasomo academic theory ne talent yobwate not necessarily ngento kiama oko gochokora. That's a completely different thing to in technical colleges and TVETs. You start from grade 6 7 8 na previously from grade 4 5 and all that. Buno mwana kunya gosoma class nkororore nga yale talented towards. Buno bona bakonyo mwana obwate interest mono as music. So you guide and you help that child to konyora yani ko grow a talent yeli akendete gosoma. So that by the time ago ko school esikotoka nga interest ya awere mono cha say music aba allowed kugendera ini ya music. That is why Karukuru grade 9 okwenda grade 10 we have 3 pathways. We have STEM, which is science based. We have social sciences, they will go that line, and we have arts and sports, which is the 3rd pathway. So that by the time mwana kurubono abago chora chi school grade 9 abago chora towards interest other than the education. Remember 844, there was nothing like that computer based. 844 was you read, you do wasoma wakorirwa matemo. Esi gotoka ngari tukuri chokora matemo. You had a stomach ache kwa ruaret. Wokogwa mangana aya korre aherere gabo. Lakini competence based even tebyo gosoma grade 8 grade 7 8 and 9 ebi bwata 40%. So by the time you got assessment you get grade 10 you have already 40%. You've been assessed 40%. Grade 10 kero matemo awon wa chokora in November you are 60%. Meaning that you must mawa kodire kuru 7 8 and 9 tell west. Lakini before in other 844 whatever you did in class nchale go count ndio count na matemo oka. So competence based is wider and takes into account many other things. So that take a gosoma te toka nga kwa lenge just one line ili kwe na kikya kara wa koleta assessment banyo da 844 ni bwate disadvantages to abantu bali bwate certain talents. So kara wa to go move to these pathways. That is why in this October tugocha ko build 1,600 labs. 1,600 labs to ensure abana bakoenda STEM eskuru eri bakogenda nebwate chi lab chisaine barabugosoma science. So we are providing the facilities. That's why we are doing academies, these sports academies, chibwate stadiums, so that abantu bote tokora sports but to the facilities open. That is why if you listen to our speech and request in Sagana on Saturday when we were there with the president, we asked that because one to answer utwara a pathway ya arts, creative arts and sports, to be allowed kuagacha a National Academy of Arts and Music. So that abana wale kutoka ba kora batayotokoenda maybe a university lakini batayotoko major in music or something bagende academy egere they are able to continue ensuring talent yawe commercialized. So these pathways have widened. They have widened the chances, the opportunities of our children instead of limiting them to one side. That's what competency-based is about. So the books that we gave is accordance to the subjects that they were doing.
Thank you. Ekaro ko korage my job agandra ase ebintebiga una bono chiskuru chinyinge geto na renda ase ebintebinge bikorgu na abana baito besi bete echiro bako na kwanda kwa usachi chiro gaiga tindara na bono ase chiskuru chiri ase CBC oserende na abaibuli bandu batanga ndoranyora facilities cyumwana nyoto batebe imbiroro. Of course ngoja bali babu sa chiro chiga ngo baratore ngo kavatore news ande no koni chinyeni chiri konyorori besibete babingi muna bangena bakoni no kuruga bali at least chindagira chiri ngwe tabe bali ba complain ngachingo ko chiatori kuruga na kiekoba lakini the science now part of it because we need these labs uchibona sababu chikanda they are going to national schools chibwata chilabo already lakini chibona cha junior secondary we've not seen those labs like doing work.
Yeah, what again no question we mapped the country.
Yes.
So chiskuru nche konyara chitabwate those labs, chitabwate those facilities. We've done virtual labs. We have done mobile labs by the equipment, the SEPU, our school equipment program. They do mobile labs chiacha into those schools. And we have also combined labs, for example, junior school kera, senior school kera, next, onye lab keroro, abana na wako endoro wako raki basoma. But moving to now, grade 10, where we are going to have pure STEM, we are providing those labs. It's 1,600 labs tochi okora. Mapping ya korwa igatoka chiskuru chirichiro rabana wagocha kwenda chitabu at those labs, and we are doing them from this October and they'll be ready in December. So by January kara wana wagoenda school etoke mbakore baror. In Kisii and Nyamira, out of the 1,600 labs, we'll be doing 47. In Kisii and Nyamira, we have mapped school. They'll have 47 of them being done. And I forgot to tell you that out of the many classrooms that were done, the 23,000, many others were done in our schools here to make sure we have facilities. So what is happening is this, Mkate.
Yes.
We are in a transition because these reforms which talk about CBC started in 2012. That's when they started doing this program. The first batch, I was in 2017, I was in grade 1. I was in grade 9 today. So it has been there, and we are still in the transition because it was a transition near university in 2029. So we are still in the middle, and as we are doing, we are navigating and steadying the boat. Yeah, steadying the boat so that because it's a program to around we get to those teething problems as you move on. We steady the boat so that we ensure are disadvantaged in any way. So we are doing everything possible. Now telling aki maybe let's say 2024. If somebody told you scrap this CBC, scrap this program, but replace it naki. A program we can challenge keroro to clean so that we make it better, because we are still in the middle of it as we are moving. Muna towe ndrete tuligatiga tintara ndore to transition in 2029 ekara wana so university omako wero 3 years wako graduate a program we want to from end to end, which now will be ready for review.
Mno waziri asema maelezo alikuwa bali kurwa atagatie kama na nimetabange batagete understand model so ikiranire criteria kia serikali to kure tutarai kiungwa kwa na mangana university na bo iyo merero kwa korete okora strike ki wateba mangana yaba kuri merero bali kire.
Is this the reason as to why at university nyinge chia entertain to Amadeni? And what have you done from where you sit koenda kia chi university chia Amadeni ko erali erinde chinyara ko bachikoran bono kawaide kiara chinyinge nchi abakripol bako machikoyunga wana buna moyi kwa for example konya bata birengo sie kwere chinde gaiganga banafunzi babeira abange telikonyara kwe manage. What have you done from where you sit koenda kia Amadeni ase chi university akeire inde chinyara kwegendereria kawaida?
So lelio ase chi university twa tubwate public universities chire 43 tratogo cha serikali yerete office ya togo university ange 21 ichiarenge almost insolvent. They were even supposed to close. I think in Germany na madeni ayachite because of many factors. One factor nelinga a system yale gotumeka yoko bachi bese cyarege cya capitation ekurunga differentiated unit cost serikali yatagere ko achi university a total of 80% of the capitation, lakini mbali kuikia that 80% ebale koru. In fact the last year but one they gave 38% of the 80% that should have been given. So you can see already a gap ya kodrik ya beiroro. The other thing is this overemployment that I talked about. Universities were not employing in accordance ekere university eroro ya employ 70% of staff should be academic and 30% non-academic or support staff. In most of the universities, ebabwate 70% non-academic and 30% academic. Ere opposite. Again, to kende governance. There has been a problem of governance as okonyora, misuse of resources, misapplication of resources. Okonyora abantu bali gutumia ebe chichigocha na chiri bakorosia as A in accordance to what. So it's a multiplicity of issues, of problems that led into this problem of debts. That is why the Presidential Working Party ya analyzed that problem. Realizing and talk over na DUC university acha with the new model is student centered. A new model is student centered job Brian and Mkate is this, that a student hakane chiwestiria kunyara according to their means. Yani ribaga togwa kane rutwensi chiwestire ngaine. Omwana bo boda wakane chibese maybe 20,000. Omwana we minister 20,000. Omwana job 20,000. Omwana we mwalimu 20,000. Lakini mapato ito yale different. So it's a model yenya nilio dhangu omwana we minister ta wakane 20,000 no mwana we boda neraka neru 20,000 na serikali. So tigo mwana we boda akane chibese nyingi mono na serikali e minister yakane chibese chia chinyinge serikali yakane chinkasale, so that we can bring some equity and some equality where people can carry their weight. So the student-centered model, the principle is inga omwana bomuntu mutaka utagit kwa ende university. Ta misko ende university asinga university ya serikali chabere spread across chakane paka abantu batawene tuwakane. Anyway, that is the principle. So whatever we do as a ministry, the first thing we ask, omwana oyo serikali chibesire ngibona tukumwakanira at the level ya media ye egarta misi ko ende school school tamisiko ende university. So we have worked on the means testing instrument to manyiro go identify nga oyo no mwana bu minister chibe sabwene to wakanu ne nechi oyo no mwana bu CEO awene to wakana chibe segete no mwana bu mole akana chibe segete so that abantu bakana chibe chiri bakonyara egere mwana ndu bwe statuka tali university asenginjo tabwatebe besa. That's one thing we have done. So
konyo tubata mangarari ngete chibands bandi entanga baka band 5 but ukrabona ngechi report chabere chikone kwa sama tukabango bakatanga system h band way it's kind of mwanyetika mwatika dedero na mwachire system ende wate a scale of 1 to 100 we 100 uli umuntu umutakapi no yiga 1 no muntu obdo mwaziri bunaye omwana bo mwaziri bunaye mweshimwa make us understand ukrabona nga model ke gotumeka sama mangarari ngete mangarari ngete university
information is correct. What we have done, Brad, is to expand the variables GMTI. I got to identify umonte need DI. Umonte ni DI. This manage band inchiro. Band inchiro. Lakini it's stretched so that kero mwana akanechwe siria bwana tako kunyara wakana so that means no you were up to that point. Tukakora bintu bibere Brian. Tukakora analysis tukanyora the cost of programs the actual. Tukatatigato analyze tonyore the cost of programs is actual and relevant. That's why recently we were able to reduce the cost of programs by between 15% and 40%. What it means is this, depending on the program, onye program yale cost still 100, if we reduced it by 15%, one will cost 85,000. Onye yale cost 100,000, onye to reduce it by 40%, it will cost 60,000 to reduce it. So it is much more affordable for many people to be able to pay. But after that reduction, when I talk about the MTI, to whatever, umwana bo mutaka nero wakana runesa gari chibas ningamon. Umwana bo mutaka, I'll give you extremes so that you understand where we are. Umwana bo mutaka, ya wakana runesa gari 90% of the cost of the program, whichever program it is. 90% of any program kere 100,000, umwana bo mutaka wakana ru 90%, which is 90,000. A family can 10,000. So your interest should not be only on the 10,000. Kere serikali wakanere the rest. Umwana bo monto ole kachiri. Serikali eko mwakanera 30%. The rest nero wakaraki wakara the 70%. Nero wakaraki nero wakara. So you see where we are going with this. That the person who needs the support most gets the highest support. Now, because of the different programs, and then call the two extremes, the cheapest program, the person who needs the highest support necessarily will pay 5,800. The cheapest program in the universities, the person who needs the highest support is 10%. Is 5,800. If we talk about the most expensive program, he will pay 75,000. Correct. So the system has worked in a way that now it is affordable. They have gone to school and they'll be able to pay. It will create sustainability as a university. University we get talking much more because abantu economies of scale. Na dropouts in fact, as we speak, university it's about I think about 5. This week, just the Monday, it's in the Wednesday, Pakalero. As we speak, abana were admitted in the universities first years. As of today, about 29,000 and something, almost 30,000. And the report now telling that they are paying their fees smoothly. Meaning, even now with all that system that we are put in place, system is correct, it is working.
Waziri, on the same.
Yes.
Waziri utaraba mtu anarobada sakura ya kandeta mangana kwenda kwa effective system kwenda kwa effective as of 1st September. Does it mean about the university boniga revised fee structure about make as per yege kadla ni nya go sene ngoro about make.
If you recall, my statement was to be ready on 15th of August, which was Friday last week, and the data was ready on that date. Nairobi University was the first one to open on Monday, meaning they only had 2 days over the weekend. That's why there was a bit of confusion on Monday in Nairobi University. Then they sat the whole of Monday, they put the figures in the portals, because this thing, Brian, is individual. You can as a portal now, or don't look left or right. We have opened a portal in the help portal website as we appeal, so that we solve your problem there. It is individual. It's not a common problem. So that's why in fact, there has not been any appeal to the portal as we speak. Help. Number two, help is releasing money to these universities, but it is not releasing money across the board, because university, for example, in October, we wait until by October, maybe 2-3 days, upkeep. So because they are opening between now, the last university will be opening in October. But what I want to emphasize, it is individual. You go to your portal, we check. And you know the way we did the MTI, we cross-checked. We cross-checked na KRA, we cross-checked na NTSA, we cross-checked na Nyasha, so that ekarango check danyora job egali yako ya Mercedes. Lakini tata yetu waka na school fees kera ata yetabe abu mulin. So daboto ko bole yaki ngaki akal Quran egali. So we are able to cross-check. Number two, we check tora abana kayu mwana ali wasoba. Job chubesere ngari waka na uchase school way. Go check tole job wa nambale ngabwate as a university agosoba, so that you can understand the expenditure, how is he spreading them, so that we can now tell what he is able to pay. It is very scientific. Lakini asere atokere epoto na kale nero, you appeal there, we look at it. If we doubt, we have now teams changao tugu na butogo chana mpaka puo to chapaka sendo buli chief nini to check engenjeri kwere ndaba kora safari ko ba kora karabata to ko scholarship. They come and check whether you are actually entitled. Wakonyora wati nyumba ili nachikorobaisa tu bate
asikyo waziri ekero tokogendra mwanchu muligereria na motegereria kero twenda tayu na na boko tuma agwetera ase Facebook cheito digital gose tembe TV gose chi app chito chonsi pi chire di chonsi asole TV chonsi asole na na tukonyanyora ertunyara correspond to the same mo waziri ndaito ongere sabno mwaka begete dajite nsengo tolecha ekonda mangana na eta iskukali ngaya go mwana ninje akobeka ero obeka bibes nate njino mwana wo mwasiri umwana onyarebere oego gatuka ngabana inu bechi waziri nganjire toko kole bra tokora korwa abana bechi waziri na bakoegwa funding yerigoro ababande batabwati omwana otebangere funding yere toerese kuranje nekena mangana nyoye talikena toerese buno muntu ligali ogotore chago kore konda umwana wa naite tuchi university
mbiamono mkata serizwali na kinara goteberinga ki system yetu begete eto teto kumanyanga omwana bo mwaziri tabaso gutukanero kwa guchubesi nyinge omwana bo mulimi eto kitali kwa guchubesi yale entitled to ere echo na ke system yeko ekorusia, so that our main focus telinga omwana oli otakere konyore support ya serikali iri iguru onyorire noli bo muwaziri otakere konyora support ya serikali irense kyara isen ombose mama mwabona nyare wakana onyorire iri ayere nse egera basi yatigara iri iguru ababa bale banse babare mina abantu bande bakora banyora. That is what that system is supposed to do. Now mtuma tenga isi toko mwana bu muwaziri onyore chibes nyinge maybe muwaziri yoyo nyatari monto orata gotabanga njini nyara wakana tali gocho admittinga umwana wayo no muwaziri na bagutiga igo ngati umwana yabere gurugwe, lakini concentration yetu no mwana oli otanyare go wakana. So na kito creativity appeal portal to tabanga onye kwarorire nga chibes to akubikire kiri guru to kunyara wakana kyara no muntu bwa mapatanse ore yo mwana uri akwirana ase portal iri ali akore the appeal. There is a form abe korro the reasons why, then we assess to assess it. Sometimes we review it, sometimes we don't. So sometimes they succeed, sometimes they don't succeed, where we find maybe it is not true, lakini we do the very best ko make sure mwana takomisi skuru asengenjo yo mapata abo go see the level of their need. I think, gentlemen, what I want you to understand is that the focus of the government is this person who can't afford to pay, so that they are not disadvantaged. And we are doing everything possible to reduce the errors. Everything possible to make sure Antonio error yani montole ubwene to ta konye ke kere error ya wait. So we put that appeal, and you can appeal 2-3 times until we get it right. That's what we are doing.
Waziri asetaro gatigati yabaremi ukanyora umurimo yo mogoteba ngabwata abana kibarongo baga apply oyo maga so band 2 oyo daga so band 5 pale abo peasant farmer anga kiyo muntu no yakoeresa.
That was before new review that we did. Now we're talking, those are the errors to Alcorusi. Lakini one of the errors how it can happen. How it could happen is that awanaba abakogenda ko apply in the system. The application is the system. You know, you put in data. It is the information you put in that directs you to your level. So if one child goes and says in the portal, mwana wa matebe obuli mubwito buri cheka iko no ndatebe obuli mubwito buri cheka ibere inechi sarebare, lakini information babekirine ni ngao depending inkiba babeka. So oyo bwecheka ikomi, because it is higher income, ego chiko komeki income ya bebenga ngao no cheka ibere ebenga. That's why those errors were happening. Abande bariko enda cyber go feel the numbers are many. Diba omuntu ruwe cyber akobeka the data yumwana oyocha ochenchiri talyo yoka. So ilieta lya job rero lakini data rero ne amigos. So mwana ho so kabwat kare lebenga ngao because of that error. So when they realize that ikara achite tukaanza we realize that mistake, tukatuma abantu huduma centers. To tenga onye tukunyara tulikuwa understand kwa ganda huduma center officers wetu mbaroro ba konya ku put in the data, the information. They'll ask you questions. Abande mbaro, for example, na nyore mwana ko ganda maybe no musanyo banyo nga kibono ndabe ko karante nga ntuchizuguli be to bwate usendu ne ko teba nga to bwate ngombe and all that, to make the wrong information for those things yareta the wrong data.
Bankara sebalia andika tibaranga ineria se program because abeko nyareka no montage babwate gali babwate lakini akari ase poto angeneria everything entongere muntu muno yo akorera gusedi chikara ireru na yabekirwa ase ministry.
Bono umetani elio kwirani mwate bankwanda muri counter check mwana oyo sokire no muri miko kumakuru semofat bana ne jibarongo bae oyo sokire ande ba sokire the ministry nengo counter what counter check here.
No, what we do, what I said is that where we ekere keski avere you know, kere ke matatizo.
Yes.
Usumunta insist 3 more, that's when we'll say, can we really go and check? Because information to buate, maybe 20 acres or something. Lakini you're insisting here chire na information to buate ko KTDA literally nini rikoroki. So that's the time to ataya no agenda mo check sampling. It's not like we have to go and check kere again. In fact, even in 2024, when this funding model, we had so many challenges. When we did the analysis, the errors were at 15%.
Oh, yes.
They were not that much. And when we did the analysis, only about 7 or 8% were corrected. This year, as I said, we have started admitting what challenges we are going to have in the next 1 month or 2 months is when now we'll know what it is and we'll resolve. And to us last year, so that we reduce the errors this year. So we expanded the variables, we expanded the questions, and we expanded the counter checking and the cross checking institutions. We expanded them so that we can get as information as correct as possible or close as possible to, but we know there are still going to be errors. If those errors come, we'll solve them. But our intention is continue improving it, perfect. So
samangana by the way kwara already chi reports nyinga sana especially kura sorango letora gusi of course chi region change ba equally what challenges but already chi reports nyinga ngamba wanafunzi bali batara ende school bakaboni ga mimi mnako previous nini academic years batara yenda bado reports cha all over if the system nabo give the amangana alinge funding model era affordable which is how we nabo go kere student centered. What we seeing claims nyinga bado cha wanafunzi chi reports chiko korunga wanafunzi habeka bado mbata getobo konye wanafunzi habeka bado mbara join school wanafunzi habeka government is doing nothing about it.
I can give you an example of I think it was something on Citizen 2 or 3 days ago of Omwanore University Akisi or some things. I think he's in 4th year. The child who is in 4th year is not using the funding model yet. Is on DUC. Kera we are on the 3rd year. Our now 3rd year. So you know problem really arengo previously of that old system. Lakini when kera back over interviewed, they are attaching it to the new funding model, which is wrong. That information is also incorrect. And that's why I've told you, and I can't stop saying it. I'm saying if there's a student, if there's anything that the government is going to do and is going to ensure it is done, onyo mwana karo uro mutaka eserekali weneto konya, the government will do it. I want you to understand that the government will support that child, that student, to make sure nare is school. If there was an error, now koro kumweka in the wrong position, was come the resources chiri higher atanyare wakan, it will be corrected. That's, you know, serikali te mu te venga wano te kuweke system yugo shikara wana abataka isiku. That's not the basis or the principle for the student centered model. Ika kutu one. Mwana tayo no karaba ko highlight oiso ko analyze okonyoru mwana otebanga na etire inga nyete ko ngende school oseri rubeli aneli achire lakini ndo chinga tiko chakanyara wakara wakana. They are not saying only in the wrong band, but even that 5,000 na wakonyoru mundu na wono I have people who have visited Mbantevi mwana atakero wakana 11,000 in their band, 11,000 lakini timbu at that 11,000. So that is something, because university education tell free. It's not free, you have to pay something. But the fact thing kwa iru band get kwa utanyare wakana goso no I know the band 1 year. I am in band 1, I'm supposed to work on 11,000 lakini tingonya because in what? That's a different story from saying that the government has put you in a place or in a position utanyare go fund the education. And I will tell you something. I was in Pwani University the other day. Abana wa Pwani University bachire amo. But in this same power kana chiwese and all that, whatever, ntuma the university education tell free. Ntuma na abana baroro, our friends, no nyenchiri 5,000 batanyaro karaki batanyaro wakana. So they raised 500,000. A university can raise another 500,000. Waka create a bursary as students yabo. Aho tangi eye etogo chokutumia wakonya abana bali bamintu batanyaro wakana no nyinchirichire. They are rightfully in the right place and they can't pay. Then we pay for them. So when we went there, we said in September, we'll go there and to amend the chuve 10 million. Ever to an endowment fund here. Yabo. Yani, what I'm trying to university education tell free, buna secondary and primary education. That under the Article 53 as a constitution, it is only basic education here. Free. Lakini university education, you pay. So the government has come up with a program. Go cover loan, yeah. Go cover in a scholarship. Cover loan ya 30%. The scholarship ya ego differ. It was 60%, 50%, 40%, and 30%, depending on your kayore. So that we support you. So already as a kind of no free, na kitu create a fund to support you and study in the university. But even then, even when you are in the right place, transport. I've received calls in Muranga University, they don't have transport. We are not even talking about fees. They don't have transport. So it is there. Those challenges are there. But that does not mean to remove the responsibility. That responsibility will remain. But we are making it possible. That's why we reduced the cost of programs, so that we can make this thing a little bit affordable, so that as much as we can.
Kidogo tazwishi hapa wanafunzi hawake MTC, which system are they using? Is the same system, or is the same funding model about make ama namna gani?
The challenge abana wake MTC, you know, they fall under the Ministry of Health, and therefore they are not directly under the Ministry of Education. But as a government, we have ensured dinga chibe senchiro or chikuru Ministry of Health chitomu help, so that they be funded from help. Care help never the capacity to run the system. So that is what is happening. So we get resources from help, depending maybe $1 billion, depending on how much it is. It's the same system. Then the ministry, the help funds them or uses their system. So they are already in that system. We also want to move it to TTCs, so that they have the support they need from government.
There was a directive ya ruta wisiao igoro ya abarimu abanene be skuru chi secondary koena na certificates go cyase aboro kigwa bali andagati abayibuli basinyure gwakana kibesa ba retain the certificate for some time. Some have complied, abarimu abanene bandi be skuru chine mbali gokoramo. What is the ministry doing koena kya oyo taliko kuigwa rendo ogochikoko nga kiatariko kuiru getambuko kende yons?
The directive through the ministry certificate is based on law. Ere anchor there lichiko. Under the Kenya National Examinations Act 2013, Section 10, I think Section 10 subsection 1B, it says you should not retain a certificate your mwana. That's the basis of that circular. Abange wa complied. Natua irota abange wa complied. Abande kero kuba boli wa complied nga certificate chira ige chinde cha 1975. Banyane mbanya wocha koraki mbanya wocha kuya. Akini onyo mwalimu karoro utararwe a certificate ya abana retained omwana ise korete complaint na certificate ya ne retained no mwalimu, because after that directive ebago chokugenda courtini. It's not even a disciplinary action, because you are violating the law. So we will just take them to court and charge them. That's what is going to happen. But I have not received so far any student telling me I'm receiving But also we have asked our county directors of education to ensure from each school, the returns, the reasons for retention, so that we can move forward from there. So that was substantially complied, and I think it is already working, because when our admitted, they got their result slips immediately and things like that.
My daughter has been denied fully clearance from Moi Girls, Nairobi, as they demand 30K before they clear her.
To the CDE, to the County Director of Education, and it will be acted on, based depending on what is the arrangement. Because Moi Girls, you can't know what clearance they are talking about. But if it is the certificate, you can't hold the certificate because of the school fees. Number two, as principals, any agreement no mwana wakana school fees. Agreement there between the school and the parent. So certificate all the what little mwana certificate muntu mungao. That's why we'll easily take them to court and charge them, because you are holding a certificate on an agreement mo what no muntu mungao.
Opportunity the innocent dying school fees.
That is why that law was passed, so that now you should just enter into an agreement ne parent correct.
Mono ekero to goikabo nekertanrate mahojiano ya masemo sinkwane ya masemo na mwaziri bichisemime yensi yetu ya Kenya muska Julius Migos Ogamba na nimanda tuko yategera ko raschire chyo chonsi na CCTV chyo chonsi chiko kwa nasomo no bwekegusi tukerigalia rero gotoko ya bwata onsi kolengana buna otegete to yakwane nagakara totebe urike wetera asibitandao yaito ye TV se radio aso otegerera tukurwa sosonche tukurwa tukuranda somutimo komoke tukwirana kwenda tukurugabo tuskana nedake
eye Nkisi TV amandegere y'umugusi.
Ine aino mwebuli kwabere gwe kwebolia ngayo mwana waragende eskuru ya Skyland Friends School yugotuka sichinsemo chagetare na ryori chiburiao obyabo mwana wogosomera eskuru eye ngamuna nigoba bwatobo sombe abalimu abo babwato bumanyi bwegoro endagera nero amona mache amacheno yokonywa babwate ebirasi bisaine school fees yabo nigo ekogenda muno mu buko bw'umwananchi obutambe na nigo ekobeka chinyigekero chingiyago chia sabana.
Samari etangurwa Felix Mayaka, Director Skyline Friends School Kisi, ekotoka somo cy'obusongo. Yangeri bageri ntebe abayibuli bali bonsi barera n'abanaka bataite ko abane school into Skyline to admit mwana from playgroup mpaka junior school. We remain open. We see the chiwe from Monday to Friday saa 2 cyamambya mpaka saa 10.
Samange bakirisimi wetrasi chinamba cyabo 0724 273 582 wase 0717 342 880. Skyland Friends School aiga no mwanogo aranyora masomo y'ebirengo bigoro.
Eye Nkisi TV amandegere y'umugusi.
St. Anne's College ni gobono ego kwali bagaligi yali okomentobo mwanyi bwao asichikosi chikobwatia eriyo kwegendereria na kogenda nense yiga yekerero. Nkuro bare chikosi buna ICT abo asebakura certificate na diploma computerized secretario nkwegeria bare CCTV installation gose okoba technician AutoCAD na web design video editing, sound production, computer programming, na baigo computer technician, amaigerio yo kubuga piano ase bigori byonse, baigo computer training ati ye chinde chinyinge. Niko bagotoka ase chinsemo chikobwatia, Kisi baumere asamagacho Auru Plaza rirongoria gatatu gose third floor angena Equity Bank. Nyamira banyore ase Timi Building angena Juakali ase barayo kogenda Gianchore. Keroka banyore Cooperative Bank rirongori tanga gose first floor.
na ninaonyero chega igana kila mtu wika oyo minto kila mtu olega iga tunashukuru sana chinga kechiga tokogenda AMSMO wika somo waziri amangana manga yana kiwe sana wikirabo niga principal chinyinge cyarire sana mangana ringete capitation cyasi cyisukuru twararira abange mbara no last time wika bakagenda bakabunga mapema sana timanye ti andake wikarabo nigabone sinase waziri chi principal chiga after chair twaro mochando yonse pia after chair rire ndwara no nyuma waziri boliteneta mangana ye ni boge ga sense yake mushimwa John Badi na bega nayo monyene kidogo mwarorekana gutuma nase chingwa na mangana ringete funding just amangana ringete capitation just school amangana ringete ine mwana fuse manta konyara 22,000 usaba nta konyara 16,000 mwaziri ntutake sana tumanyia yo na bego tumanyina ki ine amadini yaga amakora ari kuru magaga gaiga what happens to just school chiga karibu wase.
Thank you, Brian. First, the ante bena umwaziri we Chibesa Treasury John Badi and myself as Minister for Education. Nkwana chito njikola dhiki ncheta ini. Useri tukeli nkwana chito nchaitanete. What John Badi was saying is this. A policy ya serikali primary school obakwa capitation ya 1,540, junior school obakonyora 15,000 and something, senior school which is secondary obakonyora 22,244, something like that. That is the government policy. That is the rate of capitation when it cover released. Lakini ya saying incho of 100% transition ya abana which is school no na waba wa pesa chibe sometimes chigo tomu nchirigo ika chiri 22,240. That is what John Badi was saying. Tare tabango reduce chibese ku 22,000 kuja 16 ya tabetenga so far chibe to release iri chiri 16,900. Telling to reduce ringa to change the policy. The policy still remains. Senior school 22,240, and that's what we work every day. Toko work kera to go towards ringa to chiki no nyobo kongwe chiwe so kale wororo.
Now what happens as you get more 16,000? What happens to just change go
so what happens like now capitation a year 22,000 na 15,000 na 1,500 when at the school January term 1 50%, term 2 30%, term 3 20%. Bana depending on na chibese nga kichikoruwewo kwanyora maybe nchiriko ikachibese chichita kere ko karaki kuruwewa ikachitaigeti diden diatoka liatiga ira school as a school ine conversation ono togo chagotwara tumenya ngaki ngati togo chagokara mwana ya madeni ya aitire ali amakoro lakini bune nago tebi ekarana nyoriri muchando ole as ministry uzale school. I try to solve the problem ilimbo atalitanga litangani ne problem ya no noiga no tema ko suguma ngachi school at least chinyore the amount iliere as a policy ya 22,000 ya 15,000 ya 1,500 ine ro mchando no monene ngoti no ponoiga ngenda to suguma chuma ine nalenga treasury twakore to mukutano kapate tusugume chibese chitorego sinjokoreki nchike 22,000 on next week ngo release tole capitation ya third term tole irenga chokaraki chigo cha we request for it tole irenga chigo cha. But remember a system ya serikali ya once from budgeting parliament twa requisition yagenda parliament yaetia yagenda treasury yaitu like that so US ono chikoro gunchiri chitiri kurwase ase budget kur parliament paka which treasury uchagali so bono igeto enda tukusukuma ekara tugucha twabaire namba ya abana toy budget iri ito ya 22,000 that's my target igina kinge ndonga ndata gusuguma because ekara utariko ba ebe seri bwenete kara toli konyoreri ya 22 ngo short chitraba abana konyora tora abana bono mbali konyora maybe chibesi chitakire konyora chisukuru chanyora chance kutwara boko so we are aware of the problem and we are doing something about it lakini yero muchando all national all based on the economy ngabese nchikola thiki njisa ine kare basket ile chibesi tobwate kiri muntu nata chibesi kuroi kwa kuligere priority nga ile ngatoko ach county ile ngatoko aba egere kere system ngakore egere that is why we have had these problems but with the progressively unatokonya kosukume economy expand a problem ingujire koba solved that's what we are pushing towards
Rugabo abange bego batwarale even rumors tingo nganchire nchiro ki rumors a little bit batano kraboni ga banafunzi pale batali asama ngaralengete Kenya education management information system ya Kenya na igo na gekwiranda ke ni ministry etari konyara go account for all students is it karukolire ke gankebe anda ke getango ko garanga chibas chake o school
partly there's partly it is true but it is not the major thing ekera ekara mukoira abana muko apply abana which treasury you use the number here as name is what we have been using previously lakini yatwalire ngo twalira matatizo sometimes yakonyora abana maybe abana balenge maybe 300 one euro kibale go 280 or sometimes you know if it shows abana balabake it can also show abana baligo you see so it's not the exact issue a challenge yerenga a budget they sign but ekaratu anole problem ikero we have now commissioned the new system we Kenya Education Information Management System KEMIS ye it is much more robust ebwata chinguru chinyinge chietane chichanemis I don't know how to put it robust so that to all the information ere school ya abana yechibese ya procurement ya create in that system ekere utegete ko manyanga ngigenda that education sector that system will tell you and to create in a way that it counterchecks itself so that on January to what abana totebe 12 million in May we cannot have 11 million or we cannot not have 13 million. So it should be able to counter check until you problem for us to correct it at that point. If we had 12 million children, you can't publish it without every 9 million was every 13 million. So it is going to link to each other so that we make decisions based on information, based on evidence, based on data. Onye kubwata wana 12 million, to procure endagera ya wana 13 million, for example. We will know no problem. So we will link this system across so that we are able to see everything that is happening when it is happening. And it will help us. Now, you basari. Tabako nyoru mwana nyolre basari kuru CDF, nyolre basari kuru county, nyolre basari kuru isiko. Then there is nowhere to, you can't tell because there is no system. The system is going to pick up the umano or nyolre basari from these particular places. Was a school these resources, so the next school benefit. Was a promotion yeyo mwalimu onyo promotion is that was inye was isan mwalimu leo ndatara atara nyora. So a system is going to work for us to make sure to be fair across the board, and it is a robust system. It's a bit wide, it's a bit deep, it is a system toroche erato konya as a sector will clean up.
Waziri mbiamona soko ndagotwerego na monoma nyetitari ntokwerera no murigereria uri skali urabo mongi no mogotu urabe ebigori byonsi na sengenche yundi naruraga ni address issue ya mangana ekerotora samangana ye chibesa chimanyekane na remedial ninki kibwento korokana gose inchira serichi kuna ndonyo chiraro muiguri na kwenete guchiakana gose ninki abwento ko
chibese chikoro ku remedial chibese chikoro ku some levies chikoba parents ba kanu they are not there in the law ministry tebu ati provisioning awe ko akane chibese chere remedial ose chilevi gete ose nkeyo again to kero nkeli for example aba ibuli baratebe ngambatete kwa gache dom yabo usimbatete kugure bus yabo bakora mukutano aba ibuli bonse in the annual general meeting baetinga intuna aba ibuli ntotete kugurira abana baiteba bus kero mwibuli natakere wakana shilingi 500 bamenya ku request kucha se ministry nga ntotete kugure bus and tuaitiri as a resolution of the AGM into tuekaba nyene ntotete kugure bus toili baga toruchibesichi shilingi 500 shilingi 1000 gochie skuru kugure bus. It is specific. It has to be done now. Parents won't spin annual general meeting. The minutes are done. They are signed. County director of education would be there. Wamenya ku request kuru ministry nga toe idhini, toe consent. Ini are legal. Any other thing that anybody is doing, even if into be, bitai as a ministry, be allowed.
Waziri on the same. Eye tuate tukogore bus. Abana batore 1,400. Why should that bus be bought for 10 years? Kero abana bagocha mwako gocha. Aru chiru sato chaitu. Mwako liyo gocha, chiru sato chaitu chie bus. Mwako gocha for 10 years. Because 5 years na beka iko
Rebono mukato meta abu goikoga in the specific case.
Yes.
Ekera tinkumanya ngakibali igete in the minutes.
Yes.
The minutes will be clear. Bus tukora isuzu ekubuguri abantu amisini igere chibese chinganiga insurance yaye ngani nganiga ndechibese chikara divided across echiganiga gose abana gose ntukujikora we are buying it mwaka yomo gose to contribute for 2 years gose for 3 years, it depends. So it has to be specific. We go to a specific case to manya we address correctly. But what I'm saying is that where they have agreed to do something specific, then they answer what they are supposed to pay. Then they request for the approval. Sometimes we don't give the approval. Sometimes we give the approval, depending on to analyze the situation. To hire, for example, na bora nyole no nyaba etiti turoja balimba abana balinge parents balinge say 1,000. No nyaba etiti onyora ba parents banjira nde balinge 501. You know. So it is almost 50-50.
Yeah.
Abokora igente kengeli universal. Yeah, gili universal. So our 500 ningo chukumiguwa na bokora no will not ikentero chukwa kwa lao. Lakini asabara 100%, gose 98% na bokora abangen na boteto correct. So it depends each case. Kirigiriwa with the fact yokola the kibwate.
Wagenda CGMs onyora abandi baetiri ogocha konyonga nayo tagete kurutama na sky ganga
Correct. You are very right. Yes. Parents must, parents must be involved in the activities just school.
Yes.
In fact, under CBE, the involvement of parents, telling a weekend about curriculum to one or the other. If we're not a parent, even in Kumana Correro, in Caso Marero was in Kiakora, telling her you have to do everything. You're asking Clermo, I got a involved as a activities. Do not require to be a community service. We are training a whole person. A community, there is a community service, a subject. The Babusa was what is happening. Was say if there is a dairy farm across Waganda is an activity to introduce you mwana go to the normal life. I go to interact with the as okay. So this is why CBE is comprehensive. We are calling it a whole person, a 360 person.
Yes.
Ndio tutaruga bado your colleague CS Mheshimiwa Mbadi equally na suggest na kwa bunge wandi baga suggest not that we are seeing all these problems ingeko tuta consolidated fund ya wanafunzi bonsi pi ewe kurwa sinseme chiga changa fu yoro yo bisimu women rep rwa si county basari se yora se county mo governor rwa sa mangana ringete kitikeria CDF so that nalimugo as a ministry ndo twara chi kapi chiga yenda. Is it possible such a thing happen na namna gani?
You know, Brian, anything is possible. In public participation is possible. But let me explain something. Chipa as a Chico county, a Chico under the constitution. It's provided fund the constitution Mugawolia, na Chipa as a Chire county. Chipa Chire county national government, the what capacity of Badenga Kiwagotumia because ni chiavo. Chipa as Chira say CDF. Natural chichire constitutional. So what I'm saying is a conversation can be had. Ekara ya very hard abantu bamenya wanchira nanga etutakire bono kubika chibe si chonsi yamo chibe from one kiti air education yabe free or education abantu bonzo banya access to it. And to manyire ngachire. But it is not to imposition on counties nga chibe si chuko se ko bunge nga just CDF. It is a conversation that needs to be had. I get to solve the problem that, and it is a good conversation. Yeah, answer. And we're in the middle of amending the law. So if that works, it's a good thing. For example, this year, the control of budget at area county governments, jukumu yabo kwa wanachi chibasari. You cannot do that. A bidding between the Ministry of Education and county governments, we entered into a framework agreement. Yokoba authority kwa kandra wana chi basari on behalf of the ministry. Yani kabamuna tuwa chinguru bakana. So we signed that framework agreement. Ekawaene bukurusi pesa chi basari wakandra wana because the children are there. They needed to be supported. So we did it. In other words, when a conversation is had, nabotokonyora inchira yoko get the correct law in place to ensure achieve a chance speech, but you cannot impose. I'll tell you what happened. Last year, realizing that the future is that amatemo ya KCSE, maybe the child has lost a parent. Okole subject, or something, or subject am. Over the chi B, chi onyore, D was a E. Yamusa, go chance, we don't answer Takonyara the university because of that one subject, which I wait a thing in Job Abuat. Ngatavatigato Gaiti Sakula, Ngatavatigato the mid-year exam. So that you want to wait a subject here. Akole mid-year exam in June, July, I September una para also university aswe na borobu. Tacha kuripiti umwakomugi, umugi macha with the other side. Ndakora. A spirited Kenya nyakanda koti, akaruna akuru, akaja koti gagusi, akaiwe court order, we are fighting it in court. Because you realize your life are very affected because of one subject. And because of not of their own making, and it can be corrected, and there's nothing wrong with the problem. So we cannot do things because we'll be stopped. So we are fighting around it. Public participation, but Humanity Act allows us to give exams and give even repeat exams and supplementary exams and all that, which is our responsibility. So we are fighting that to see prejudice. I did not see any school. So those are some of the things to course correct. Is there a way to correct again? For example, Brian, you know, sometimes back, school. And yet they can come back and do the exams and move on with their life. That changed. So it is possible to change even the the benefit, as opposed to being rigid. There is nobody who is benefiting from that rigidity. So those are the things that we are talking about, and that conversation is good. Joint school funds, whether they are bursaries, presidential, private sector, and that also will work through a system when we are chemists, because we are going to have an entry of everything that is being done under the sector into that space. Basari. So wokai ngaruerete. Kufidi abana balenga kufidi arali akwale wapi. All that information needs to be known. So it up to now, for example, ngabantu balenga bali Kenya abako abana chindaga. Okwenda uzinoma be kwanyoro muntu naroro section gitu koragiri abantu. Oyanda kwale kwanyoro naroro. Serikali nkoragirira aba 2.6 bali na asal areas. Lakini wono combined the data. So we are trying to ensure in the Ministry of Education to clean data to make a decision you're informed na that data. For example, again, Brian, teachers. Karukubuli TSC abalimu barenga batararikwa abakoenda se data yabo bata ku 1963 twalikira abalimu 900,000. Ambalenga tuligete bale 450,000. Barusanani bata abalimu batarikiri bale maybe 300,000 or 400,000. Lakini konyororo monto ubwate TSC number, lakini ucheta katika abalimu akaenda gukora lo lakini tachite ko delete TSC number ya. So we need to get all this information for sure. Abalimu balenga bakoretheki batararikwa. To make decision ngakitoko linabaro. To a analysis, for example, to anyorre in Kenya, it's 35,000 every year. So that no nekara to admit wana abana which gukora education, to admit abana very close to 35,000, do kubeka education to weka abana 120,000, then we need only 35,000. We need to be able to make policy decisions based on data and based on information. So this is what we want to do with chemists, so that going forward we look at our sector. Onye agriculture. We ensure to let the course agriculture to admit abana bangu choro, and if they do not want to join, we can even ensure that we are giving them some motivation, so that they can be able to take that course. Doctors we should have now a system where we tilt the balance and we ensure we are admitting more of them, and to make the facilities in the universities, doctors the right number, so that we don't produce graduates whose jobs we do not have or do not need, or the market doesn't need. So we need to study what the market needs and then develop programs across the board that produces the people to fit into those which are market theory. So that it's not just what mwana gotoga ata tuchokole course get, lakini course yandeta yako uchakumele toko kora otangoma tena ko the course bono nonde gaiga. So we have to do some affirmative action for the courses that we know we need, either in agriculture, in veterinary, in tourism, in medicine, and the analysis from which sector, from which area, so that we can also control admissions of the new ones who are coming there. Because there's no point to have 300,000-400,000 graduates in one sector. Itabu at capacity graduated. That is why information and data is so important. So
now that chemistry data cha wanafunzi na everybody. How about we no report your Auditor General last year chiskuru njoro charinge ghost schools. We got an non-existent schools, chikaweka ruchivesa, chikatuma ruchivesa and everything. Now that we have chemistry ya wanafunzi, does it mean ndobu atiaro ndokoro kidata ya chiskuru? How does it ekuikabaka serikali ya tumochiba socha ghost schools?
If you recall, that audit was a 4-year audit, but I think it is from the last 4 years, and when they did it, when they did it so that they can respond to some of those issues. You see, I said this. If a school does not exist, lakini yatumiru chibese, that is a criminal offense. Then it is so easy to determine whether that school exists and who is responsible for that money. Egara correct? Apuatu. Ngateba iga nturi gutuma bese guchi school. Ito gutuma chibese guchi bank account ye school. Money is sent to a bank account ye school. Yes, school. Now, on your bank account kere case bibosonga. Ilitandiro maybe Jambera primary school maybe it doesn't exist. Lakini chibese chiri kachiru suguno monto a human being. We kaya ndaso kwirende we kasa ini chi document ya we kachiri reflect ya se computer ye signatories. Aende karawa ende wing ebichayo no yakalaki. So the day okorusia on Tuesday buna lero chitagirigete na bokora kana ngosyo kora ogenda ga de rules. So ngateba we need this list. We send it to the DCI. They start from there. They don't even need to start from the schools. Because once you arrest that person, motebia kuiripake skuru asakarateki asir. Onitha ukorokia skuru asir, chikotu na chikorateki no chiregai. So it is easy to resolve that problem. You see, in any system, tokumis bakora ngutuka bakoreki baro. Lakini wikutu alinjera yoko babuate kera bokongo akoreki wabe. So it is doable. And that is exactly what I said in Parliament. Once we have that list, we'll send it to DCI to Batebi, investigate. Because in Tuntubu at capacity, you could investigate those schools. It's a criminal offense, ever investigated with the institutions still charged with the investigation, and we'll give the information from our end. Because when you talk to me, the chiefs also, there are footprints. So now you go to the church or that to get and all that. Again, we work from there, and then we connect. Then you will get what the cartel is.
For the case of Bomet High School, what is the report about that?
That is a simple one. That one is straightforward. When President Yalenk Bomet, bowling at Bomet High School, to a school or Bomet High School, the Tenwek High School appointed a mentor. Bomet High School ever in charge of starting that school. That's how the money was sent to Tenwek for the construction and the starting of that school. So it's not a ghost school. The money was not sent to a ghost school. It was sent to start the school. And the minutes are there, everything is there, so they will start working on that. Maybe after a year they can go back and ask you to make the 50 million. So it's not it was something that was misunderstood. Yeah, but otherwise that is normal. It is done. A mentor school. For example, even under TVETs, Kisi National Polytechnic, nere mentor ya Kiamwasi. So when Kiamwasi was being started, Kisi National Polytechnic for them to pay because it does not exist. So it doesn't have tebuati board, tebuati signatories, tebuati. So what a mentor institution, the construction of the new school. That's exactly what's happening. It's allowed.
Biamono waziri Julius Migos Ogamba gotorenge nchengabunie iyo karo togendrete go soa sensemo ya gatote krondo chera tigere chidaka ngesa tuiga chirage chinsa isa tuchebona mahoro bakoena kiabono niko turachigotwara chidaka 50 gukoro murobiro yo twabere tukurigeria mangana mange aye ministry mangana ye education na sotenrete bona senseme eye ndagete tuirane nkanga kitokirana bitangani nimanyete chimese chinyinge cyari kiru ase bitaseni abantu bagendrete kurigeria abantu bagendrete ko tegerera nimanyete representatives which station ye chimbare ga abande mbandetera chimessage igerinde to chisoma sobwango ande tugikachinga kichi waziri ndaga ni utwale karamu kya turaga ni twasoma no ni 10 iga kwa ruwachaka go chi address wango yamasemo kandi matine chinyinge kuba gotegerera rwasichi station wetani nyeche television nabo igo chinde nyeche chi radio ne chikwestion abo chirabe chinyingi kurende waziri ekero tuguchigoswa sense maybe turaso in the next few minutes poro tuira neka muligere natake kumanya waziri Julius Migos Ogamba mugusi nandirende mugusi okorwa mirobiri kia bwate gochaso mugusi matabona bakebe ngarinde na into nere tubwate koruga igoro gongoro chi polytechnic chiabo Kisii National Polytechnic kuna gwa kwanire nchiraro ro mirobiri kio bwate yo ku improve chi university kiabonyoro ya chire mirobiri kiraro ro konye cha kiaso bwango mono and so many other things chi skuru ntoro chaba waziri na educate education okoro is one of the docket chaba gusiba sese ni nero kiagara ya tora ba waziri abange sana since independence we kabono including the immediate former professor ngeri nalenga se wizari iyo akonyo nkana alenga aroro bono gusipoka abantu bago judging yekero waziri Migosi alengo skuru gete ga improve skuru gete ga so status gete national polytechnic ke kiwango gete miro biri kyo bwate na ende biri bikora akore for the last about 2-3 or rather one year kwa be abisi.
Thank you. The first and foremost means education. Policy to kubeka at the ministry level chigo affect the whole country bado ngo affect chirebuzi usi. For example, ekarana to reduce school fees here university by 15% and 40%, aba kuzina baromungo benefit wale in that is not something keko koru kando na iga kile ko na baromungo benefit wale chisemocho amangana ya totebe construction of the classrooms nagotebi they were not just done in the national government, it was also done in Kisii. For example, and I want to give you some statistics even the Biagusi specifically. Ekaratu agacha ebirasi 23,000 junior school classrooms. Aigagusi yetu agacha 827 of them. 567 in Kisii and 254 in Nyamira. That is almost 1 billion. Out of the 11 billion that we were spending in the whole country, 1 billion was spent in Kisii. Number 2. Since independence, Kisii County has had only 2 national schools. Kisii School and Nyabururu. This year, I was able to upgrade, or we were able to upgrade 6 other schools in Kisii County. Cardinal Tunga High School, Rio Kindo Boys, Nduru Boys, Kireli Girls, Itiwo Girls, na Ichuni Girls. How many? 6. But since independence, we only had 2. Now in Kisii County, we have 8. That is something na bumonda thanga. Kere karokubeke school yaba national, chi benefit ni chinyinge chiokora chigocha wanango chabar kurusiko. You are given more expanded income, you are given more infrastructure, you are given more teachers. There's an advantage. So it is a good thing that we managed to do that. In Nyamira County, previously, from 1963, we also had only 2 national schools. That's Nyambalia Boys and Soronga Girls. This year, we added 3. That's Kebirigo Boys, Nyansiongo Boys, and Kebabe Girls, making them 5. So now we have 5 plus 8. Yeah, from 4, we have now 13. That is a very serious improved milestone for this particular place called Kusiyeito. Out of the 1,600 labs that we are going to construct, 47 are going to be in this region, 23 in Kisii and 14 in Nyamira. Remember, it is 1,600 out of the 47 counties, but we are doing 47. In Kisii, you can do the math. So that is something that we are also working on. Asiti laboratory chiriels moja 600 tocha ulikoreka 47 ni tocha ukorika korugusi 23 koru Kisii na chinde balance ikoru Nyamira na chiri chinde nateba chi school to upgrade ligo chi national schools ebina biro twakoreke twakorere akana so agali university onanyora ntubwati vice chancellors namanyire nasugumire twarikire babere kumenta wana na bali babere konya bakoretheki baro baikire bane ningenderete go ningenderete gupima ndoka GDVC nabeka bekire igara aje council nabekira abanda bangisana as council university in that sector ikegera kero kubabeka nabo gwakire mundesimi kwa motebi nkonyaraba ali gora as help nere go distribute chigwerende ngakora ngabeko mugusi kuri kwerende
Ngira waziri kwa
but anyway we have tried to make sure abantu betu bakoreki babikirwa sage position baranyare okonyaba abantu ekera unabona abana abaji challenges chikoba nere ngotobinga abana abu barigereri ngakyogo okubasoti ubarigereri ngakyakuba akobanga the higher education loans board to abekiro monto mentor and many other places chisiyo tobwate to abekira abantu board cha polytechnics na abekire abagusi batali bake egera in just this short time makoyo na koriki na the list is quite long ndoga ndete kurwandira abasio bande ndoga ndete kurwandira n'abavisi bande banyore ndete kurwandira chairman kugenda ilinda abantu bitu banyore kera utaspread ati bakonyanga kero munda Nairobi nkonyara umuntu no ko my bus fare airane gocho but what is important is even the biospi etoranyana ko bikore kara tulira serikali na kiagera nkateba litu alenge state house kera ntu aliyenchera tukaanza the early this year ngarangiria leaders bonds bibagusi na professionals tukaendo umugobandi gete Nairobi tukikaransa tukagamba tukubora ninga gusinga kitokora tochiamo egerekera tukurwandira ama tusabe bintu twasabe bintu bwa mutwigubwa tukarosia a strategic plan ya 7 years from this year to 2032 from this year to when 2032 mumbo atabi ekera ina arigeri ngatebaiga government si chigo change talibo lakini onye mubwati program ye inoyo okore gasi na bintu bigusiriranchira ekeriga system ya change umuntu ndo mwachire mwanya orakiri yakore kibiru tugateba torosi strategic plan ya 7 years until 2032 toyebeke university of Kisii togotebanga onye na match ebintu tore bikoru nebi onye ne education nebi onye ne chipara nechi egere umuntu na ruobisi onye gotote kumanyanga ngikonyora tu asugumira asige kire ministry gete kwa gande university ya se depository Professor Getino will tell you that to abeka kawe head of that egere to mwaligereria ronga kaitwa kaitwa tigirete why
namaro yo mugusi ya kiama
tari ya kiama this is a development purely development yo mugusi and I'll tell you why ekara sondu muriyo yale kwa gachu mbata kiri kwa gache dam magwawa nero yatakiri ko na mache kuchisondu miru sondu muriyo kagache gakorwa development no ere gali magwawa ikebwa bono muntu yo maitenga magwawa njalenga se program ya sondu miri lakini onye ndito bate depository ya stock and twaligereri na mutoro kwenda tonyore na yakore
yoi
no ere mekubo iga gosen nakyakoru mekubo ere machoke there's a big water project there ya wena to koruna Hungary for the last 13 years yatoke kwa mete somewhere na twache teiga nkagama no mumroli wa mache tukaire gente cabinet gaitiwa machabro na chakore na chagachu lakini ge kiebetu kera for a long time munte yo manyitinga mikubo program neroro ebwene thoko so nkarangeria abantu abetu kera to somete tokateba to isokonyore ase library ita sto kubeke bintu ibi so that ngos na ruo yaja to ngana ngosukuma arenge skuru gete enyore bese yarikwa samwe kere gekwebwe kera changes chakore chabeire because of that tukanjana nanga tungo totole amo leaders tochamo n'abantu baitu bonse egere tukore development na kia tutike kagera tukare tuamite tukaenda State House tarehe 15 on challenge yes on 15th tuchite State House kerumont abantu wa boda former leaders current leaders champions aba MCA you know tukatoka tuli gari tukateba ngo saba tuli bintu ge tukasabi bintu biri twari konyara ko bya bwangu tukasabi university ya Nyamira university ya Nyamira yabete touted ku 2016 nali abona tukwa gacho 2016 igakwama 2023 kara yakwa murwa ikaba allocated chibesa 500 million ya gacho lakini itarachiko kwena chi problem ikabanga yakorake
yekwa gacho
yakoba mwako yuka financial year kara ari chibesa jigozira rancha ekara nachore tutare tisa I was sworn in on 9th of August tarehe 12 tukachane president Kyabonyaru kara tuacha twale gocho koloncha mangana ya kuwait project issue ya Nyamira University kabarist president ikateba tige university begali and challenges chindi chikakora chikacha ekara chiacha twacha kwekora bone kara twale ngali tukasabanga bado the university ya Nyamira akateba nkuba kubature so atutumete tochi n'abantu ba defense atanga bono tiga abantu ba jeshi bakoreki agatwa muru na kitwacherete aramisi twalenge Nyamira gari koleta abantu ba jeshi koboroki site na koba site ngabono so in the next maybe 1 month contract dango soere yanzi kwa gacho ini achievement ya mtu akoreki imagine ko 2016 ekwamete ne project ya Nyamira University ke 3.9 billion yani nanu kwa gacha woka abantu bacho kore gasigari abantu bakoreta match bagina baragiria abantu bakora gari chi materials no chikuru kurugari so we will do it is going to be done tukasaba airstrip tukataba ntu kwa gacha airstrip sigetwe already commissioned because there is somebody was abantu bari batagete airport yende kuchukwa gachuse asigita ngao Nyamira or something like that karaba enda kucheck ya Nyamira wakanyane ne tente can't work ataka kuira tuli nyangusu kuira tuli ya musana noga ugaasa bono sunikateyo sirongateyo bono tokaiya tukataba tura miliye tunyako tumia tokoriye binde anyege tokotoka
motomenda
enga bune yente kutunya kwala na 2027 ndutanga karato ikero iya tindeze nkera ati na wana no tokorete hoturi lakini ikitubwa bono tugutu karato yesuneka togendera gatutebi agatumia chairman gocha nakikera twale ngoro igoroma bia chairman ya KE bono bairane baje batumia technical team bayiguri yansa korosi housing affordable housing kisi movement ndubwatu marem in fact we are the number 1 candidate ya affordable housing chinyomba toire chiri chinketo because buri mumbu akoretheke ili atoire nyanchuga ali chiri chinyomba go 500 chi county chinde okonyora baire 5000 4000 they needed the land one of the pieces of land itakiri ni prison yebale town igani toteba tigatumu prison nangu nyanturago chauro buri mumbu ro 600 acres tubaye 50 acres igai go 14 acres tubaye 50 acres igali twagache housing igai getown na prison ya achora anturago two things will happen ti project jiren ibere tukoyacha housing igai inzo konyora a benefit na ari ro tukuira twagache prison ire modern twagache pakachipara chikogendo twagache school ya abantu ba staff bana babo twagache clinic so we develop that place again is an extension is a new project will benefit from it. That's what we were doing again yesterday telling no mugavana Simbarati as a unit because CBE to what 3 pathways one of them nearly creative sports creative arts and sports which requires sports facilities so tukasaba twagacherwe a stadium a modern iga bosongo as a SKE tuganjirana we will get $1 billion or $1.5 billion twagachiru stadium iri gari alafu ASK ebe moved gochi yatieko ase 13 acres chikorete chire to ASK your road is much larger so we move over 3-4 acres aliba chotwara 13. So again, that's development here and development there. So out of that meeting, tukasabane pare kuru Kaplong, ego trimboka tukote eko dual carriageway. Yeah, then to try eko dual carriageway because it might take time. Now toko expand gari to al nanchira ini very to gandre to kunya or sort that thing. He agreed. One technical teams go to Tombale, bakorega see you. So because we went as a united Gusi, we are able to get those things. So that the character ki etora say serikali is not for nothing that we are there. There is something that we are seeing. Because this year 2025-26 the budget is 4 trillion, 4.2. Next year is another 4 trillion. Recurrent year was 60% and all. We have about 2 trillion cha development. Lakini wana ngamu wezi konyara those 2 trillion because ntobwate program ya 2027 ne serikali itu atagitenga to where are we looking for this government bora tu aliko ligitonyore toknyore benefit abantu balikwe ya chipara chirosigwe buna wano these constituencies a lot of roads are being done. I can read for you. I have a program here. Many roads have been lined up chiko cha kwagachu chi marketing kwagachu chire bridge une interchange ile daraja mbili, it is being done so that we can benefit from the government, so that we ekerto yani ga toko tabia bantu wetu nga tubwatisi ekerto nyore these things and you have to go to the table. We come to ande kerto rangiri toko ande tebanga na toko nyoro opportunity otango mwambi tutagoteke ko da auto we binde bi komi wateba go bande ista usingo bande bitano ibinde to tukano jumo at least we know we can, and it is going to be done. So I'm encouraged with how His Excellency the President is supporting us. Even in education, he has supported us fully. Yeah, everything we ask for, he'll tell us this is how we want to handle. How to support, guidance, and all that. I want to benefit. Can you imagine how would I have managed to upgrade the school? Man, in 1 year. We have been having only 2 from 1963, and it's not like Tindigo judgment. Brother, ministry into it. I'm not judging, but it is there to see what.
Thank you.
Waziri baadhi unogentoko sanga magana UMA sebo. Waziri nganjini kuna numega kidogo tu magana lingete help. Actually, the government yana setting what kind help takriban 9.4 billion, 9.7 wikrawani getara chitara bwatu. What is the status? Karando cha wanafunzi pale wako maswali sana akeka chipa chetu cha libo ikonda kimute tabanye school. Yes.
Ina kwere sai. Chipa stoko release is for the schools by guiri. Wano konyaro mwana okopoli nga uchire kuligeria portal yae taranyora bese lakini university yego chako igoro mutinyiko oikomi. That is the discrepancy. So aba bakwigora bono because also
Chawe cha soke.
chipa something to in faces igana chiro chinjikola thiki nchiyo to we do this. We have a program. It is actually progressed. It is tied to the opening. It's tied to the opening. Onyo naro ro tara or by go tara nyora. Sometimes it is because of information yarwete incorrect. Or say a batch or such bank. There is a way the money is sent in batches to their account. So, but those are problems that can be resolved. But 9.7 has been, and we made sure that the upkeep has been released because Mbako and the school better bwati. Yeah.
Key agendas cho mkato tarabu na koja kwenda. One of the key agendas cho mheshimiwa the president mheshimiwa Daktari William Samoei Ruto chalinga marani the TVET chikos cho moka and everything. We krabo niga TVET ndo cha maswana rako ruga mangana the TVET ya ngo igura chire next week chinde kobo no ikrabo niga mbabwati boro kya isa ina chi skuru chiri. Chiro cho what is the status yichi TVET na bego VTC agency ya Kenya.
Now, Amangana TVET are very progressive. It's a very good pillar at the heart of this government and the heart of the president. When Kenya Kwanza came into power in 2022, we had 200 and 97,000 trainees in all the TVETs in Kenya. How many? 297,000. Normally, we've been taking to university 20% of the students who graduate to KCSE. Last year, we were the highest. We did 28%. Meaning, last year, for example, about 965,000. 28% pakaenda university. Meaning about 700,000 students budget bali qualified kwa university. Ngabo wana kogenda KMTC was a TVETs. So ekaroko nyora university wata 1 million TVET wata 297. Now na 1 million is equivalent to 28%. 297 is equivalent to 70%. There was a misnomer. The thing was upside down. So we came up with a program to increase enrollment. So from 2022 to 2024, when I came to the office, they were at 375,000. They had added something like 80,000. So we can make a program you could raise 1 hour to 2 million. President Gantevi raised this number to 2 million. We started working with the Ngao, the chiefs, Chibarasa, and all that. We've been able to move that number by June this year to 700,000. 700,000. What has that really mean? We can enter. So because of the numbers, we requested to allowed Kolika 5,500. He approved a year. What is we are working on now on a budget? We need about 1.2 billion. Our trainees have 5,500. Again, I was in Treasury on Tuesday. I was pushing for that 1.2 so that we can now have trainees to support those students, because we've done a lot in the TVET sector. We have even changed and increased the programs. We are made to aware our city such that onyo go to mason koleyama magenoka. You go to TVET also magenari for a month, or certification, a micro certification for mason ogende. Or colleagues, if you need to come home and plastering, you can come back, plaster, we have done modular, yeah, so that you can come in and out, so that you can fit. A college, kore mason, so you are not earning. So to change ringa, can you come in work or maybe no one that you just come in, you cannot be a classroom going for a year. Yeah. So we have changed it to a research policy RPL, recognition of prior learning. Karatasi. One on a karata kirich kusamwa was a koi was a promotion, takoi karata. When I go to college to test to more a certificate kurukunga, recognition of prior learning, also the formal economy. To a red and to dual training. Dual training nailing a 50% of the time in classroom, 50% and that's industry. So Coca-Cola was something industry leader, also onion food and beverages, ogenda industry also. Hospitality also make us half the time ogenda hotel. And we are training everybody now. We are training them. House managers, we are training them so that they are learning we are training everybody so that now you have quality. Because a market give us people who can do the jobs for us. So that the skills, what are those skills? So we are doing in that space. Now in Kisii, we have a government policy in each constituency. A TVET. In Kisii, there are all the constituencies of TVETs except Ponchari na Umachoge Borabu. So we are working on that, and we want to ensure that maybe in the course of this year, but by next year to those colleges, because again of the numbers, it is important. Nyamira, we elevated it. It is now a national polytechnic. So we have Kisii National Polytechnic and we have Nyamira National Polytechnic. So we are doing something in that space. and I was there yesterday. I found they are very good, very many machines. I advised them on what they have to do. For which machine chikora chi block, kanyore chibekire nyomba nkabatejiru zugu nyomba chiru ekona maata sa marobali banza kora chi block wa nelia ba. You know, there is a way that we can do this thing to continue to benefit from it. Na chiri chitabu ati machines, we are pushing China Korea machines to distribute. Another thing that I'm doing, government institutions, you find chigali chikwete chire packed. You find chimotobike chikwete chire packed. Okona nyagitari kwanyora machine chikwete chire code. So I have written a paper, cabinet paper, ngosabanga to be allowed as the Ministry of Education under the TVET to distribute in our institutions those so that they use them. Maybe institution the mechanics, maybe gari AM. So we are doing something in that space to ensure our people are benefited from it. And as we do national policies, they also trickle down to Kisii. Yeah, they are not isolated. They benefit. But we are also working on even equipment to watch.
Yono waziri tiga kubuli likongwa kebon.
Yes.
Ono egas.
Yes.
Ekero abana bono tukere ma gatuma go set tukure. Ono egas bi. Dejich.
Our viewers, our listeners, Sarah Mange, will run out of time.
CBC igebwate abanafunzi 40 was 400 abalimu batatu balimu abakanye bangosomi kuna abalimu balenga banki. What of that? Liyakabere inalili lyabuli ngorengero nanda kiriya semena linyi amaruba abana abajumbe baka kale koena nagali na kibono gyachegeka.
We're good. Yeah. Now under CBC,
yes,
what has happened is because we were in the early process to transition, there are teachers who are graduated trained in CBE. So they are teaching and they have STEM and all that.
Yes.
But we are also having a program tool to be able to teach CBE students. In fact, under this month, August, the retooling was taking place across the board. The government gave 950 million for retooling, and it's been being done from last year, so that now you have enough teachers as we continue increasing. As you know, in the last 18 months, the government employed 76,000 teachers. This coming quarter to December, we are going to employ another 24,000. These 24,000 will largely be science, to meet the STEM requirement to bring the number to 100,000. No. Some of the ones that are being done are already trained. They are current graduates in STEM. No. I was in Baringo, TTC. We graduated about 300. These 300 are CBC ready. You understand? They're very CBC ready. But when they will be retooled in December so that they are ready to go in January. Currently, they are being retooled as we are talking. There's an amount of money that was given to ensure that retooling is taking place. Over and above that, in junior school, we have enough teachers. In fact, I met some principals yesterday. They told me this. They have 9,000. They have 9,000 JSC students, and they have 300 teachers. Now, when you divide 9,000 by 300, what do you get? You get 1 to 30. You get 30, and that means the ratio of teacher to student is 1 to 30. When the international requirement is 1 to 35, which means we are in between. We are within the numbers. What needs to be done is the realignments, the reallocations, the moving around of teachers, so that we have enough teachers in each school. That is the position. Your second question of remember, And I can't give you an answer to that question.
Yes.
I came in August when this process was going on.
Right.
So but what I know, TSC does the employment of teachers. It's their mandate, the employment of teachers, and they do advertise. Like now, they've advertised for the 20,000 or the 24,000. People are supposed to apply. They are shortlisted, and then they are employed. So that issue of Marube Koenanu, I can't answer. My background is low. I have no facts to it. I have no data. I can't answer to it. You'll have to ask that specific person who wrote maybe Kurwa Maru, Muvolinga Kia Kurwa Maru. Yeah.
te bakubatana na baiguna Brian Mutonga na kakasungura ibinto ama mabona mangale ga job so we just a few na ragunga kindly may waziri address the issue of those schools that missed capitation with name is Era Masaba South Inova School to 197 learners, of which only 2 learners reflected kindly. That's one of the questions, Job.
Uri waziri umurwiri abwatere na CS Interior Murkomena so gotango goichura of kiosks seeing wines and spirits near institutions of learning. There are bars near schools and even was clubs, yondo boliria nandi lyokoranga ndi boliri sana n'abantu abange oyuga bolia seta gaiga kurwa Kisio TV page ya Ondo Chenga. Ask the CS about Kitutu Church Technical and Vocational College, which has told since 2017 till now. The contractor is on site here. The institution has trainees. What are the plans for such institutions? Inara na algeria mokorwa seta yelinde korwa se Kisi Hot TV. Elinde mkate nilira korwa se page ya Gatembe.
KMTC. Jabete launch tikaya chit. Ya kabiri mwanafunzi naro ore Nairobi University atabanga government mbegete number 3. You went to work on 44, lakini yale gago sub 66. You mean ngana number 4 abekire.
Thank you. Nara kuboli wetra Kisi TV kuboli nga kiamwasi contract ya chete gasike skuru ekagana ne bunga motuka amaka etire eyo waziri na okay. Abigora ba naro kuruka mwanafunzi ateba akorte cases last year kurase skuru ya St James Yonsalia abantu ko join na Masinde muri University kule no ikraboni iga tara ya results slip ya kuru skuru nganonye directive ya ruru abantu ko join on 28 Masinde muri University kobono tabuga tibinto bitakeire.
Inendelea Mheshimiwa Waziri, during Uhuru regime, NHIF for students in secondary was fully paid by the government. Does the current government have such plans with SHA to help students in secondary schools?
Okay.
Thank you.
So quickly, the missing capitation in the challenge ya NEMIS, like I've said, this particular issue was being addressed. Lakini currently, they must try and ensure that inside the NEMIS so that you are able to the next capitation. So it's important that he does that, and if he has a problem, he can reach out very quickly, even manually, to the ministry, are assisted. Wines and spirits, it is true that the Ministry of Interior is working towards ensuring wines close to the schools. It is so we are working with them to ensure either the licenses or moved, but they are working on it. We have made that request that we don't want wines and spirits or bars near the schools. The Kitutu Church TVET, I actually talked about it. It is one of the TVETs that needs to be completed. It has not been completed. Take care of what happened. Ever require a TVET with a specific amount. But I'm going to variation. Kaya variation, TVET chigaetani chichi chibona wakanwa. And remember now tena quick institution kwa wache mentane Kenya Kisi National Polytechnic. Now Kisi National Polytechnic teko sababese kose akane unless ye body ya Kisi National Polytechnic verifying variation ya correct ne legitimate and they are correct. So last week the current principal and the board actually went to Kiamwasi or checking what has happened. They are supposed to meet next week. Pamanya to the report back confirm that variation for the payment to be done. The money is actually there. No payment until those processes are done, because it was a variation. It is out of the figures. Even okay, KMTC timbu at data your information, this falls under the Ministry of Health, but I can find out what is happening, and maybe through you guys, I can let you have that information. Mumanya pass over what happened to it and all that. One of the Bible in the 144 instead of 66. These are the ones I was saying. If that is the position, let him go back to the portal. I indicate why they think they should be paying that. That is like an appeal. So we look at it and correct it for him. If we find that the case is deserving, to correct, to go change. KSC result slip. And then say the county director of education or the sub-county director of education, that issue will be followed up and they will get the result slip because they were not cover detained at all. NHIF and the SHA. You know the current SHA, students are beneficiaries of the parents or the guardians. So guardians say when register a student beneficiary, so automatically over covered based on the principle, the anchor person or the principle of the parents. So they just need to confirm parents in registered. In fact, last year when we were dealing with SHA, early this year, we did issue a circular to parents to cover register and make sure all your beneficiaries on it. So the father rights and all that. If there are any challenges, we just raise this issue and then we'll deal with it at higher level. But otherwise, under SHA, all the relatives or your children are registered under you as beneficiaries, and you still get the treatment because there are no special different hospitals for students and for the public. It's the same thing. So it works the same way.
ase ekera ndo chiriria chakire go chenchiga bono goika tochi twayiririe gukoro murobirio chiteka tugwata chinke sana ni maete Brian anchete siasa sana agukembete sana akuburia magana two time na one time kole ndenche egendo nango cha kuburi ndoche is one obeire ondike inbox ya na koranga igari asisumbogete biragere sana nga niga Unity Kisi campus September last year paid fees only to be told there will be no classes and no directive was given. I tried to request for a refund, of which many attempts failed. Every office I went to, they always turned me left, right, and center, and that's how I lost my 50,000. I've never healed from this. Kisi was one of the campus I never expected I could get such kind of a treatment.
Mandera balimu na banafunzi wali basoma
hardship ngaki
ani yali akatebanga bana bali basoma chinsemo bunachiria kuruga ekaro moko capitation moko over fund chinsemo buneli ko consider mole nandu bakurwa guchia.
Okay,
ono
confirm walimu ba yes balimu bali contract.
Okay, I'll deal with those confirmation of teachers.
Yes.
So first one, Kisi campus paid 50, no classes. That is a strange thing. No classes, how? So this is a special case that needs to be dealt with. Gekoru, maybe again the university or VC. I can book an appointment for it because it's not possible if you are paid fees. But classes did not go on, or he was not allowed to attend classes. Yes.
Kisi main campus, what happened? Well, Kisi campus for those students who applied for certificate and diploma courses.
Oh, so you need. I have no data on that. They just need to go there and find out. Now, I'll ask the VC to address this if they can come through you so that it is sorted out. Because once you pay, if there are no classes and for sure you did not attend, I'm sure that the refund can be done. Hardship. The way we do capitation is not based from Asokuru. We do capitation as Sukuru. We just use the numbers as Sukuru. And whether you are in Northeastern or in Kisi, if you are in secondary, capitation is 22,000. On your call primary is 1,500. On your call JSS is 15,000. There's no hardship is dealt with separately in other spaces, like for teachers and all that. on confirmation, one of the reasons why Kupet went on strike last year when I came is because they had 46,000 teachers, but I get the cover confirmed. Tukuchukua the ingo chakwa very confirmed January, wakampiga pressure sana abgati inbox ya nige ichora sana. They visited me quite a bit, but they were eventually confirmed. So confirmation is based on availability of budget. So I will need to go to TSC and find out the budget nero yo confirm balibale in the contracts that are coming to the end. But what I think is going to happen is that the budget will be looked for. Yeah.
Chinga kindo chimbora ya chire sana na boigo ntote tio tueru kidogo ine wekraboni gari ogendere sana asorongo rwagusiye Kenya ingimara kila mahali kwani gawange kusige bate banga it's a new term for mheshimiwa former interior CS Fred Matiang'i ine mheshimiwa wakili Migos Ogamba ayensa idikito kwa nyanyara porwa se ngombe yewe kainga yobere tamanya are you one term new term ama namna gani
Brian?
Yes sir.
Tukubudiri swali kuronge.
Support
Nagora bowling which side inde Korucha said. I've told you from before that serikali today is doing development for us. You would be mad to say okay ndasa ngao utiga security as a serikali. So to ask me that question is actually not courteous. Yeah. I think what you should be asking me,
public demand.
What you should be asking me is how we are going to do development in Kisii for the next 7 years in the Ruto administration. And let me tell you, I've also been a politician. To win elections is not easy. Last time I was running Moskoli Olenge, my predecessor, I was his DG. We didn't win. We lost here, and by the way, in the cabinet. We were running Kova governor na deputy governor talo. Mheshimiwa Ruto akaranga kutuamnya kama ono twaso etitiga atubeke in cabinet oyo makora 2.5 oyo ndakora 2.5 twale ngamorendo so that at least kero test again because ndio alikuwa run Kova ni kwa area yake na kwa hiyo mimi nasema asante sana. I am very, very thankful and grateful for that position. Number two, I'm coming to it. Number two, Ekaratu 2022. We were underrated. That will not win. That the Ruto will not win. In fact, we suffered here. No ndege kuland, it could not land. Helicopter, we suffered. But we still won. What I'm saying, etora Europa 2032 ingoro bono utarengo ngoro tindo jone ande kwarengo bonsi to deal now the way we dealt with them that time. We'll deal with them the same way. I have no doubt. That's why kwenda kubatenga tikatwe bange toso ase serikali ime tonyora magenderero paka 2032 tindo tanga muntu toteme no ni tuntu ateme. You will reign, but it is no guaranteed. So I say guaranteed. I can't. Anonde paka mwisho. And I will do everything possible in Kisii and Nyamira to make sure that we get the right numbers for our team. We will work day and night. We katore tamagendero toboroki. For example, I have told you we are going to employ another 24,000 teachers. Some of them will be from Kisii. Tualetire university, tualetire na upgrade rechi school, na aletire rechi TVET. Chipara nkoro suchiru mukubwa nkoro sheri chipara. Ama chengo chari. Fertilizer nja aletwa, wano igenda garanda koredeki. Nero, we reduced fertilizer, there is food now on the table. We are doing ICT hubs. Abana itumbato wanya the 70,000 shillings from each constituency, about 100 young people. What are you going to tell us? Tutara kora ilo denga nanga mwaruo nchinkore ngi kero there's nothing. So by 2027 I will ask you abantu bitabakusi utumakiria matema utangaki abana bachire grade 10 abana ngosoma bare school twakurira mangane funding model shango korere gas chiparanchiror amachinaror. You know, you cannot win with slogans. Slogans are easy. You go to a funeral, you talk slogans. You find the people on the road, you talk slogans. Lakini the actual work unibona tokora kugenda paka alia si budget zikorosu kusabe tokonye infrastructure toroselia match. It is hard work. We negotiate to do this, so it is not enough. Nenda bandu amindaba kusi egento gyachire gusiga igantintanya kora nyekere funeral rere abantu ba mobilize yani ugocha funeral n'ekiguru cyo wakara jinko mweba mangana mwatiga ebirero mwarenge mwacha korelisia abantu bakwereire mwanza okora ebintu bitali korrekana mwogerera abandi ngotakwana oyakwane ayankora tuliki panga mpango yenu ya siasa mwairoro funeral kwakira abantu mwabune birugo mwakora. That is disrespect. Na kignata everything koronga ki ntwamo kusina abantu twalenga bangai inki kia toroga tugocho goikase ebirero mama nyakonyora bono ebintu byokwanu rombi kola thiki mbisait na ndo kwanyanga nawe na bintu byokwanu yokwana bakabaro abantu abanene tusigete ananga bako teba ikintu kibwene to korunga gaiga nebirero to respect a family. Inu mwacha muri politicians, you are not hurt mwe wete boro bondo wens mwakora bintu bita ikendeki wika stop wikamutiga manganayo umuntu tigoche rero umuntu oliosirete bara abantu ba minopole kwana mangana moro okenda lakini siasa giko ikali geti kero angreti siasa ono kwana mangana mnokora tek unutagite sabaji kuracha chao tororo gosengo kororiki singobore
kero koraiga asengobwati sagini kan siasa tole 2.5 obo amatebwao na your predecessor.
Oh yeah, we have a very good relationship. Mwaka already is a person I respect. We work, you know, Nimo Segetekara is a senior, no Montore straightforward. He did his job for the time that he did. Hasukiwa, Kahegwa, Nanjinabwatiro, Nanjinkola, Senguikera, Sengote Sukia, Nsuke. Because you guys here, Teliamo. Your colleagues, for the time, Kwayari, you serve at the pleasure of the president. 1, you don't know why he appointed you. 2, you don't know where he has removed you. Maybe maybe you are not able to do your work. You can't know. So to blame mundo ndinga kinga kosenaro sedete wo yonde taka akawi kere ni nduke manyan wono na korangiri nkoege nduke kyange kyane no ma ko inisis dinga no kware ko vera pako kole kwen. So life we just accepting you've served your part. You will not be here. No, I want to get to it. Mnamata wane kya bagusi. Baba usimbere ngaba bero. Rombaro bono. Keru munda ko bero ukora. So you appreciate that and you be thankful for koegwa a chance you go serve abakenya. Jekera lito karanko boka ngweboli rero ibintu muchokora. Ngokonya bira abana be school. Ekaranko etangwa go school no boli chintara bajanga boli muro chibasi nchire kigenda tukura abana school chiko etachire abana mbale school. Bas. Yona kore yes again kuchandika ngelibu na wono okonyora abana maybe just strike jincha sumbote chane kyara kero ko mwane school obero emyaka kianda. It is the whole community okora ekosaba. So I didn't want that to happen. And ngiri libageli gotebya baiboli ndadocha kuyora on Monday nechinterera chiko chokubugoli abana kamuranche mugandiga alingora muiri chiga alingora mubwate fuata sheria egara abana ba school safely. Because these are our future. This is why we wake up. Ekaroko nyora abana bali monde na boro kwenda school kwa rabuna very passionate about their dreams. Batagete ko grow. Bachakoba abantu. You cannot make wrong decisions. And talk about to me una politics. Na ro de kera abantu ba ko enda gali osine radio station. Ayo denga education trio karagas. Education ya kule. Omontor mwae. Oyiro mwana ya school. Omo drop omakwande TV station whatever education ya cool kotigo mwana school ngirendo kwa romane school kwale kumutiga bereka whatever education ya salika. So tutagete abantu baitumo tokonyane asa makosa ali na moto de makosa nara tuarekebisha. Unaona CBA kare tuara tanga maths ebe optional abantu bataya tigatumike maths hesabu bali bakora STEM bakore pure maths abandi bakore maths ire essential maths ire applied so kero umuntu atware nini kidogo ya maths atware knowledge kidogo yechisabu. We listen, and once we listen we course correct so that we can have a perfect system for ourselves. So twali wanchira na yanga tubwatira namo tungusiramo kara tungusiramo una leaders na bantu beto bonse etoko make more impact kuma teba tanga na nengoli string yam ekubutoka bwangu kubwa string iren isato karamu bwatira nete you have more energy, you have more power na karamu sabe gendo mo tegera lakini kara tu atana nete tora masa gucha tuwaka chisabu chitali boronge etokoi naona bantu baminto mboboli ose Raila tu ari kurwana como lili elections bona ero chire tu asoire broad based igotara uchege ndonga ngikere ga broad based ase serikali intutuma tenga bono karuna ende ga ase serikali mehenda sanga ganye myake ri kunyawoje emyake ine chiki emyake ine chakare chiki gego ika abantu beto balwara to kimbaro paro to what that is all lakini bono iga tutam.
Thank you waziri. Magana kugure unatira magana tuta kugure unatira magana mu busiko bono because of the interest of time of Gachi station chichiko yaliga nikoleta magana maye waziri. Thank you so much teko kwa 1 minute yo for your parting shot match asinga kwa yakolire ko tuwanjira ntoko benteta ke moyo ko for your parting shot
biamono no job biamono mukate red best asoko university go chaga ikakukwa na bantu baminto enchenko basabanga tubwaterane abantu baminto tobeamo naende kinde buna bono ninche nde minisa yo ero tubwaterane nari tugutwara chinguru none karamo gontuma nkotebanga natumitu n'abantu bonse egero twanyora ebintu biri tugusaba byachire igo tubwa kugenda mutwa ase myaka yetigarete tupime naende tusome history tupime naende tokore tusome history into basi konyora nga twabikire chikadi chito ase chitamere maito nabo kuruta chibando bune Biblia gateo onyore kwa yurutita asamagena bandite ko karaki tekwama omurigiriri ngaki nkaye bande turabike koraki yame naende nchindo chase bande turabike yame kyara yorokiri naende ntogenda tukorokyo buya bwa serikali ntogenda tukorokyo buya bwa Dr. William Ruto nchindo tinga no tukubeka chibando chito ekiara twaruru buya bakoretheki boro no chiramere abwo chimutwe komuntu ndara atotokangana roro sirie mugondoe na batora chikurigiro chimutwe lakini ochaiga 2032 na batore paka 2027. Asanteni sana nyasaba sisi.
We really appreciate your time sir. Na wewe gochinga kina nendo koligi ni metrare yeli riatu mjoki kidogo but asante sana waziri. Thank you so much for gochia somulira sukare chinga kya muliro Kisi TV. I really appreciate on behalf of Kisi TV. Asante sana. Wego on behalf of team yon spia leta mangana ya igaba koragwa no producer tukura sense ya Kisi TV Brian Mtonga na wego na Isaiah Maove. Thank you so much. Inchenkoro kwa Brian sagini sana incho na bene karango mwarelio minto mkate enoka gogote gochia so gochia you